his inspiration and my sixth sense. My grandfather was a man who could see spirits. He told me that it is not good to tell people that you are psychic. He said, spirits are people who have good ears, and if you ask them if they are psychic or not, they will follow you around trying to show you who they are. I don't know if I can call it psychic, but I have always had something like a sixth sense. I have always had a sixth sense, but I don't know if I can call it psychic, but I have always had a sixth sense. I get a sense of brightness in my brain, and the back of my nose gets twitchy as if it were a danger signal. I have come to accept it as I grew up, but I followed my grandfather's teachings and have lived my life without telling anyone outside my family. When I was a sophomore in high school, I remember there were a lot of guys taking advantage of their summer vacation to get a motorcycle license. I was relaxing in my room, tired of the daily heat wave, when I received a call from my friend Nakamura. "Hello Kaoru? I'm going to test my courage with my seniors at an abandoned hospital in the next town. And you know, it's more fun if there's more of us. And you like this kind of thing, and you have a tolerance for horror, right? Next Tuesday, we'll go, right?" It's true that I like to test my courage. I like the reaction of people who are happy or sad when they test their courage. Above all, I was bored, and I said yes with 2 words, hoping that it would help pass the time. On the day of the liver test, Nakamura came to pick me up on his motorcycle around 9 p.m. after we had finished eating dinner. I slung my prepared bag over my shoulder, put on the appropriate shoes from the front door, and headed for the abandoned hospital on a 2-seater. On the way to the hospital, Nakamura says, "Whenever my friends and I test our metal, she's the only one who can always see something. I hear that she's the only one who can always see something when her friends try to test their metal." As we were making small talk, we arrived at an abandoned hospital before we knew it. I was talking to a man or a woman, Nakamura, who I don't even know if he is a man or a woman. Can you rely on him? As soon as I arrived, a tall man who looked like a Yankee clearly started a fight with me. Nakamura looked at me in a bad mood and said, No, he's a pretty funny guy. He can be relied on in times like this. Oh, you know. You're the psychic one? Hey, her name is Kuroda. She's a friend of my girlfriend's, and he's a very psychic girl." I looked behind the man and saw a sweet potato-looking woman with glasses coming out of the door. "I'm Kuroda. I'm used to this kind of thing, so if you need anything, you can count on me, you two." She sniffles and says with a proud smile, "I'm a bit of a character in the kitchen," she says. She's a kitchen-sick person with a forced characterization. I'm not sure what I would do if something happened to her. At this point, I decided that I would be better off relying on my sixth sense in case something should happen to her. Entering the abandoned hospital through the unlocked back door, I was sickened by the musty, dusty smell. Yeah. It's atmospheric. "Here, I'll get it, Yokozawa-kun." Apparently, the man was named Yokozawa. And as soon as Kuroda enters, he says in an exaggerated tone as if showing off his psychic abilities, I'm like, "For real? For real, Kuroda? Where is it? What's so suspicious about it?" "No, it's my psychic sense." I looked at Nakamura in disillusionment. He seemed to have noticed my silent appeal and bowed his head with his hands together, saying, "I'm sorry." From there, I checked out the X-ray room, waiting room, operating room, etc., and even went upstairs, but there was no place in particular to which my sixth sense reacted. Kuroda was making a fuss as he always did, so I concluded in my mind that it was a complete lie at this point, and I was listening to everything Kuroda said from right to left. "Shall we turn around and look at the East Wing? I wonder if there are any Bakumon-like creatures in the East Wing." Yokozawa replied to Nakamura's suggestion in a silly way. "To be honest, I'm not scared, I'm not killing time or anything." I still remember that I really wanted to leave because I was too uncomfortable. But as I entered the East Wing, I could tell the air had changed instantly. The east wing is a floor with a number of adjoining rooms, but the room on the far right, room 207, felt so incredibly evil that I found my legs stiffening involuntarily. As we approached room 207 one by one, my sixth sense began to kick in. Something squishy spread out from the center of my brain to my whole body, and I felt a numbing sensation at the tip of my nose. I could already hear the sound of something running around the hospital and something creaking, and when I entered room 205, next to room 207, I felt an intense pain in the back of my nose, as if hydrochloric acid had been poured into the back of my nose. I couldn't stand it, and I cowered in place. "Kaoru, what's wrong?" Nakamura immediately shook my shoulder to confirm my safety, but Yokozawa, seeing me with tears in his eyes, seemed to assume that I had reached my limit of fear and was laughing while turning the screen of his phone toward me. "And the important thing is," Kuroda said. "Yeah. This. Oh no, but if it's too late." She started mumbling something and went out into the hallway. Nakamura and Yokozawa followed, but I was about to pass out when I felt nauseous from the evil presence coming from right there. "Everyone!" Kuroda suddenly shouted. "This. Room 206, it's not good. Just being near it attracts evil spirits. I can see them. Hurry. Go into room 207 there." He was halfway out of his mind, but he pointed out that it was not room 207, but room 206, which was facing him. Yokozawa, looking a little freaked out, quickly opened room 207 and went inside, and Kuroda also entered there as if he was going to jump in. Ugh, oh. It was the worst vomit of my life. The moment they opened room 207, I felt like a mixture of hydrochloric acid and a putrid smell exploded in the back of my nose. I can't stay here any longer. At the moment I thought that, with a bad aftertaste filling my mouth, I yanked Nakamura's sleeve and ran toward the exit at a run. In the process, I told Nakamura alone that I had a strange sensation, that Kuroda's psychic feeling was 99% false, and that room 207 was the most dangerous. Hearing this, Nakamura looked straight at him and said, "Thanks for saving me. I'll talk to Yokozawa-san and the others appropriately, so I'll send you on your way already today. I'm sorry. I'm really sorry." Nakamura told Yokozawa and Kuroda that I was not feeling well and that he would go home first, and then he immediately drove his motorcycle to take me home. 1 week had passed since the end of the test of courage. I received a call from Nakamura. "Kuroda-san, she committed suicide. Yokozawa-senpai hasn't come home since that day." I wanted to hear more details, so I called Nakamura to the food court in front of the station and asked him about it. 2 days after that day, I was summoned by Mr. Kuroda's parents. "My daughter has been acting strangely since that day. What on earth have you done?" They said she was yelled at by Kuroda's mother with a sword blade that was one step away from killing her. Nakamura was grabbed by the arm and brought by force to the front of Kuroda's room. And there, Atsui, Atsui. The sound of ice being chewed and water being swallowed at a tremendous rate was heard as the victim mumbled and grumbled. Nakamura, who thought that something was wrong, lied and said he did not know anything about it because Yokozawa suggested it. "Today, Kuroda-san's parents came to my house," Nakamura said. "Kuroda-san. She jumped off the 5th floor of her apartment building, and her belly, which looked like a pregnant woman's due to excessive water intake, exploded like a water balloon." Nakamura, with somewhat vacant eyes, went through a series of outlines of Kuroda's death. Then, as he straddled his motorcycle in the parking lot, he said, "Oh, by the way." As if remembering, Nakamura said, "Actually, I have a psychic sense, too. When Yokozawa-senpai opened that room, I saw a woman covered in blood in the room. Our eyes met. Then she looked at me and smiled, as if she had been waiting for me. If you hadn't taken me by the hand, what would have happened to me? I wonder what would have happened to me. Or, hey, Tell me your intuition. I wonder if I'm okay. That night, Nakamura drove his motorcycle into an abandoned hospital and messed up and died. And it seems that a police officer who investigated inside the abandoned hospital the next day found Yokozawa dead inside the hospital, dried up like a mummy. If you were not psychic, you might unknowingly enter the realm of evil spirits. But even if you are psychic, you can see evil spirits. You may end up letting them know the fact that you are not a psychic. I am very glad that I am not completely psychic. This is the end of this story. Thank you for listening to the end.